are the fire trucks? Has anybody called them? A distracted employee shook his head. The phones aren't working. Everything's out. He grabbed his cell phone out of his pocket, and then he watched him try to dial 911. But the readout was blank. He shook his head. It's dead. My battery must have lost its charge. Try yours, Denny. She dug her phone out of her purse and hit the on button. Hers was dead, too. Had both their batteries died on the plane? She looked back out the window. The plane continued to burn, engulfed in a conflagration that wouldn't be quenched. Helpless airport employees stood back, looking around for help. Someone had pulled out a fire extinguisher and was shooting white foam, but it was like squirting a water pistol at a towering inferno. Then he thought of herself and her dad sitting on the plane just moments ago. It could have been them out there, trapped in a burning metal coffin. Gritting her teeth, she pounded her fists on the window. Where are the stupid fire trucks? I don't know. Doug's whisper was helpless, horrified. She watched the chaos on the tarmac as employees ran in different directions, looking confused and defeated, shouting and gesturing wildly for help. Some started pointing up to the sky. Another plane! Someone next to her shouted. She followed the man's gaze to another airliner coming in. The others started to scream as that plane dropped too fast, too steep. She couldn't watch as it hit the ground, but she heard the deafening sound of another crash, felt the impact shake the building, screams crescendoed. Shivering, Denny looked up. The plane was spinning and tumbling across the grass separating the runways. Daddy! She glanced at him, saw the horror in his eyes. She followed his gaze to the sky. Was something shooting the planes down? Were there more to come? Denny slipped her hand into his and felt his trembling. For the first time in her life, she was aware of her father's fear. And though his strong, protective grip held her tight, she knew everything had changed. Chapter 2. Doug Branning's mind raced to understand. Planes falling out of the sky? Crashing? Burning? People dying? There was a power outage, but that wouldn't have caused planes to crash. Maybe there was some kind of battle going on in the air that they couldn't see. If someone was shooting the planes down, maybe they had also knocked out the power on the ground. Was it some kind of terrorist attack? In all his uncertainty, he knew one thing. He had to get his daughter to safety. The airport felt like a target for whatever evil hovered above them. He put his arm around Denny and pulled her from the window. He hoped she couldn't feel his trembling. Come on, Denny. We're getting out of here. For once in her life, she was compliant as he pulled her up the long, dark hall, past the empty gates. Several Delta ground clerks came running past them. Excuse me, he called out. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Power's out, one of them called back. Nothing's working. Well, did the planes crash because the tower's electricity is down? May have. We can't say for sure. Doug frowned. That didn't make sense. Didn't pilots have emergency procedures for situations like this? Couldn't they land the planes without an air traffic controller talking them through it? He walked Denny past another window and saw the ball of fire, still burning. The other plane hadn't caught fire, and men rushed toward it, fighting to get the door open. Still, no fire trucks had come. Dad, what's going on? What would make two planes crash? He shook his head. No power outage, that's for sure. One of the planes must have hit a power line. No, the power shut down before the crashes. That's why things went quiet. I heard our plane's engine power off at the same time everything else stopped. The luggage belt? The maintenance cars? Dozens of people were at the second plane now, but they couldn't seem to get inside. He bit his bottom lip. The passengers had all probably died in the impact. How could anyone have survived? He didn't want Denny to see them pulling the bodies out. Let's go to the car. Still carrying Denny's suitcase, he headed to the exit. Maybe we can get a signal on our phones after we leave the airport and call your mother. She's probably heard about it on the news and can tell us what's happening. Denny followed him at a trot, hiccuping sobs. He reached the front door, but it didn't open. Power's out, Dad, she reminded him. He turned and found a manual door. As they pushed through it, he was struck with the silence in the street. No cars moved through, and the security guards were probably helping the rescue effort. Doug and Denny hurried across the street into the big parking garage. They had parked on the 4th level, so they found the stairs and trudged up. Doug was damp with sweat by the time they reached their level and made their way to his new Mercedes. He used the remote on his keychain to pop the lock on the trunk, but when he got to the car, the trunk was still closed. He pressed the button again, but it still didn't open. Frustrated, he jabbed the key into the lock and opened it. He threw their 2 bags in, slammed the trunk, then tried to open his driver's door. It hadn't come unlocked with the trunk, so he manually unlocked it and got in, punching the power locks button to open Denny's door. But Denny just stood there, knocking on the passenger window. He frowned at the door lock. The power locks weren't working? How could that be? The power outage couldn't extend to his car, could it? He leaned across the leather seat and opened the passenger door. As Denny got in, he put the key into the ignition and turned it, but nothing happened. Denny just looked at him. The car's dead, too? Dad, this is like the Twilight Zone. What could cause this? God me. Doug looked around. Usually cars circled everywhere looking for a parking spot, but not today. He got out and walked to the edge of the garage, looked over to the roads that took them out of the place. There were a few cars lined up at the pay booth, but they weren't moving. No cars ran on the streets leading to the interstate, though several seemed stalled in the middle of the road. People stood outside their vehicles, opening the hoods. Doug went back to his car and tried turning the key again. To no avail. He tested the radio. Still nothing. I don't believe this. Then he found a Kleenex and blew her nose. This is just great. Are we going to have to stay in this creepy place with planes crashing all around us? I want to go home. He turned to the back seat and saw a Walkman one of the kids had left there. He grabbed it, shoved the headphones on, and tried to get a station. All he got was silence. Nothing? Denny asked. Nothing. Maybe it's all the metal in the garage, blocking the radio waves? He got back out of the car, took it to the edge of the garage, and tried again. Still nothing. Slowly, he took the headphones off as the stark realization took hold of him. Everything was dead. Electricity, phones, cars, radio waves, even planes in mid-flight. As he got back into his useless car, Doug Branning felt the world spinning out of control, and he was powerless to stop it. Chapter 3. Oh, no! Tell me this isn't happening! A brand-new car wasn't supposed to die in rush-hour traffic, but 1 minute Kay Branning was sitting in line at the red light, cranking up the air conditioner so her kids would stop complaining, and the next minute the engine had cut off and stubbornly refused to start again. Panicked, she turned the key, but nothing happened. Soon the light would change, and people lined up for miles behind her would start honking their horns if she didn't get out of the way. Come on, Mom! Jeff, her 16-year-old jock, who had just pitched a no-hitter, banged on the dashboard. I've got a date tonight, and I have to get a shower. Calm down. Kay tried to think. Maybe the air conditioner and radio were putting too much strain on the battery. She cut them all off. The car still wouldn't start. I didn't even want to come to this stupid game, Beth, her 12-year-old, cried. Dad and Denny are going to be home before we are. Why did you even make me come? Kay ground her teeth. Because it's your brother's game and we support each other in this family? Don't do me any favors, Beth, Jeff said. I didn't need you there, pouting like a 4-year-old. Why don't you just shut up? Beth snapped. Mom, I told you to buy the Tahoe, Jeff went on, unscathed. But no, you had to have the Expedition. I'm dying of thirst. This whimper came from the back seat as Kay's 9-year-old stood up and leaned over the seat in front of him. It's hot. Can't you turn the air conditioner on? No, Logan, I can't. The car's dead, Beth said. As in, no power? As she spoke, she grabbed the Game Boy that he had laid on the seat. Get that back! Mom! Kay gave up trying to start.